Good morning. How are you? Or good afternoon, whatever works for you. I was thinking that this next recording was going to be another channeling that I did, I don't know, as a test a few weeks ago and never could get Instagram to post it, but I had it posted elsewhere. And then after sharing it in my newsletter, I found out who the person in spirit was coming through for, so I thank them for that. But this morning I was kind of hit with a bit of a aha moment that I was to sit down and talk about something else, at least at first. And that is this. I have known this about myself for quite some time, but it's really showing up a lot for me lately. And that is how I discern the types of information that I am taking in and embracing as wholly true. And basically, what I've been experiencing for many years now is if I were to read a book or listen to a podcast or what have you, and the speaker would almost not feel right, or they would say something that just doesn't ring true with a capital T to me, I would then lose interest. And it recently happened with a book I was reading. It's not important because I'm sure this book has helped a lot of people. It was a bestseller, but there was something that I felt was inherently false that was stated in this book, and that statement was, your thoughts have no impact on the outer world. Wrong. Our thoughts have everything to do with the outer world that we experience. So that kind of did it for me. I couldn't go back to it. I couldn't finish it. And then this morning, I was listening to one of my favorite podcast episodes, and I was loving this episode. I had made a note. I was going to include it in my newsletter. Super excited about this person. This person had a near-death experience. She is doing work in helping others reach higher, higher vibrational levels of consciousness through the use of sound, and really fascinating. I loved everything she said, everything she reported about her near-death experience really rang true for me. And then the host asked her a question. Drawing near the end of the episode, they asked her a question, and I really wish she would have just said, I don't know, because I felt like her answer, and she did preface her answer by saying, these are my thoughts, so take it or leave it. But for me, it was just inherently not true. And I felt like it could breed fear, basically. So this is what I'm talking about. Back in the early 70s, maybe the late 60s, Dr. Helen Schucman started hearing a voice in her head that said, this is a Course in Miracles, please take notes. At first she thought she was losing her mind, but then after talking to her colleague, Dr. Bill Fettman, I think is his last name, apologies if that's not right, I think that's right. I don't know if it's right or not. I'm so sorry. This is what it's like when your brain gets to be in its 50s. So anyway, they worked together. She started taking notes and doing it all in shorthand, and then he helped transcribe those notes. And that turned into a book that was published in 1976 called A Course in Miracles. A friend of mine kind of introduced me to that work back in the 90s. And in 1995, I bought a copy of A Course in Miracles. And what that did for me was just incredible. Like it really, it brought me so much peace of mind, because here's why. I was having a lot of trouble with traditional religion and how it was so full of all these contradictions, and a lot of it not loving. And the big one that I had was a question in my mind, even from when I was a child, is how could a loving God create a place like this? How is that possible? A Course in Miracles is said to have been dictated by Jesus for the purpose of correcting how his message has been misinterpreted. And in A Course in Miracles, they talk about God, the creator, being love, just love, love. And we are created in our creator's image also. Powerful, creative love. In fact, we're so powerful that the only difference between us and God is that God created us. We did not create God. And then in a split second, we had a thought of separation. We thought, what if we were separate from God? And then that is the original sin, the original misperception. The word sin is an ancient archery term that means to miss the mark, so to misperceive. So the original sin was this split second that we, as a creation of God, thought that what if we were separate from God? And in that instance, this is my interpretation, in that instance, there was a big bang, and this seemingly physical universe was born. So here we have duality. We have fear and we have love. God didn't have anything to do with this creation and is patiently waiting for us to wake up to the truth. So the question that was posed to this person was, how do you explain all the negativity on this planet, all the bad things? And that person said, it's because we need the contrast in order to recognize value and choose love. And I agree that the contrast in that can be helpful, right? Like, we look around, we don't want a lot of this stuff that's happening that's terrible. However, I keep feeling that it is not yet a collectively embraced idea that we are responsible for the creation of this holographic dream where we think we are separate from one another and we think we are separate from God. And I feel like if more of the current work that's out there embraced this other piece, we would be presented with not only whole ideas that make a lot more sense, but think about the peace that's in that. Think about the peace that God really is just love. God isn't doing any of this. We are doing this in a terrible, terrible dream where we dream that we are separate from one another. And so, yes, it is very important that we choose love. It is very important that we listen to our intuition, that we follow the breadcrumbs that lead us to our highest, most brightly lit path. I don't know if this resonates for you. If it doesn't, that's fine. That's fine. I just needed to express it because my concern is that someone can listen to this podcast and it's full of beautiful truth. And when we, you, me, everyone, when we hear truth, we recognize it. We feel it in our body. I just got chills. We know it. So when someone is presenting all this beautiful truth and this incredible near-death experience that they went through and the power of music and the living being of water and what that is, I mean, the whole thing was fascinating. But then they interject something that is in support of this planet being created by someone else purposefully, with fear and all these terrible things. I just feel like there's not a deep, abiding peace available in that. To me, that leaves me saying, why? Why? That's not love. That is not love. So I felt really compelled to share this, not in the name of controversy or anything like that. We all have our own path, and I honor that. But because if you're out there and you're like, all this makes sense, and I know it's about love, but why would a creator, who created this mess, why, where we think we're separate from one another? I just wanted you to know that there's another school of thought out there that is said to have been dictated by one of the enlightened masters himself. It's called A Course in Miracles. You're probably familiar with all the work Marianne Williamson has done in her lectures back in the 90s and early 2000s on explaining A Course in Miracles. And for me, as a basis, that has helped me discern what is true. You know, if someone comes out and says something that feels for me to be inherently false, then I know it's time for me to walk away. So if this video is that for you, if you're watching this video and you're like, not for me, that's okay. That's okay. Just ask your higher self, your guides, your teachers, your enlightened masters, to show you the way, and they will. This was just my way, and if nothing else, I listen to my intuition. So me sitting here filming this is exactly that. It's me listening to my intuition because I wanted to share with you that there is an alternative idea. And for me, what A Course in Miracles offers and quantum physics, they blend. Like it just all fits. Like I worked with A Course in Miracles for many, many years. I did the text multiple times, and it's over 600 pages long, and it's like thin onion skin Bible-like pages. It's dense. And then there is a workbook in it with 365 lessons that I did multiple times. I haven't looked at it for a while, but it's at the core of what I have come to feel is the truth that resonates with my work. In fact, the mediumship work is just because it's made possible just because we are all one. There is no separation, and that is how that type of communication is possible. So I hope, even if one person sees this and you feel a tiny bit more peace inside of you, that, hey, it's possible. God is only love, that I'm thrilled. And I forgot to mention, one of the questions in A Course in Miracles that is asked is, why doesn't God, I have the hiccups, I'm sorry. Why doesn't God wake us up? And the answer that was given is, God is all powerful, and to acknowledge this nonsense that we are dreaming up would make it real. And that's not what we want. We want it to remain something we can wake up from. We can rise above. So I hope you're doing well. I hope you are continuing to shine your light and find your joy, because that is what this world needs right now. I personally have been exceedingly heartened. I know a lot of it is the algorithm, but my Instagram reel is full of people younger than me, typically, who are doing light work. And the difference between that and what things were like in the beginning of my life in terms of conversations about unity, about mediumship, about all these esoteric things, I am really heartened by that. I personally believe that we are in the Great Awakening, and that that is why we're seeing the depths of the darkness that we're seeing. So yay for that. Not the darkness, but the light shining away the darkness. So thank you. If you watch this, I appreciate you. And I send you all the blessings there are. Everything bright and true. Until next time, mwah, peace.